Welcome to the Courage to Live podcast. My name is Josh Pitsko, and I'm a retired police captain with 24 years of experience. Currently, I travel the country and I teach people about courage, resilience, and leadership. In this episode, I'm going to talk about climbing that mountain and tackling your insurmountable goals. So, I'll tell you, in my life, there's been so many times that I saw something in front of me that I wanted to do. Like I had a dream, like I had a desire to get this big thing done. But when I'd sit in front of that proverbial mountain, knowing what I had to do and knowing what I had to climb, there's times that it would just feel so intimidating. So a perfect example of this for me was writing a book. Is I've always wanted to write a book, and I wanted to share my experiences, but also have practical insights on how to be successful with certain things that I teach. And in doing that, every time I sat down to start, I just couldn't. The goal was too big that I just never felt like it was even possible to do. And so I'd create an outline or do something else, and I wouldn't never finish or get it done. So I finally did. And for a couple of ways, the first thing is I put my money where my mouth is, and I paid to have a publisher and an editor, which set timelines for me because now I had definitely had skin in the game. And it wasn't just this thing I was doing at night. This was almost like a job. So having skin in the game, it really is a first step for this. And the other thing I did is, breaking it down into one step at a time. And I've talked about this on so many other podcasts is, breaking these big goals down into smaller goals that are achievable. But, you make these, steps to getting this done more manageable. And like for me, it was, yes, I traveled for a week and a half to Costa Rica or a week, and all I did was write. But then I just had, this manuscript that was kind of a mess. So when I got home, it was taking time every day. I'm going to work on this chapter. I'd even set like a timeline for myself. Okay, I'm going to have this chapter rewritten and done by this day. And I'd hold myself to it. That mirrored itself even on promotional written tests when I had to study. I'd sit down and write out everything that I was going to study, when I was going to study it by, and hold myself accountable to that timeline. And that will help with discipline and consistency because there are days that you just don't have the motivation to get it done. But being consistent and, making sure that you're disciplined enough to meet the goals and the expectations that you set for yourself. I was always my biggest critic. So I wanted to not let myself down in those moments. But that consistency turns this big, scary goal into something manageable and achievable over time. The last one is really just celebrating milestones along the way. I remember, when I was writing, I'd write a particular chapter or section that was hard, but I knew that it was worthwhile. Like this was a good part. And I'd stop and I'd send it to Jenna and I'd be like, hey, check this out. And, what do you think? And, I'd celebrate those wins of just getting that down on paper because it was also pretty emotional for me, writing all of this down and putting it down into paper too. And remember that every big achievement starts with the first step. Like I talked about in my other podcast of, the first step of being good at something is sucking when you start. But knowing that the journey is full of small, persistent steps. And the other benefit of achieving this mountain is once you climb your first one, the next one doesn't seem so intimidating. Thank you for listening today. If you like what I talk about, you can get more in my book, The Courage to Live by Josh Pitsko. It's on Amazon. And if you like the podcast, please share it with a friend, leave a review, subscribe. And I appreciate you spending time with me today.